Hello, here we go. So we're talking about ecology, okay? So what does that mean? Eco means house. Ology, logy is the study of. So ecology is the study of the house. We're looking at chapter 14. From now to the end of the class, we're doing chapters 14, 15, and 16, okay? With a little bit from before, and I'll put up the review sheet from the stuff from before. So our last test will be during finals week, and the bulk of it is going to be on chapters 14, 15, 16 with a little bit from before, and again, I'll have a review sheet. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's begin. Ecology, the study of the house. So what is the house? Okay, and show. The house is our planet. It's planet Earth. Truly, we are, look at this. This is space. We are in space, okay? And our planet does everything we need, okay? We live in this remarkable place. So taking care of it is really important, okay? It was Earth Day not long ago, right? Last week, I think, it was Earth Day. And it's this idea, Earth Day started in the 70s. And it's this idea of taking care of our planet. It's this idea of valuing our planet, okay? If you look at this. This is the Earth's atmosphere. So space, right? We can't live in space versus in here on land, okay? And this little layer is protecting us from space. And truly, we are in our spaceship. So this chapter is about ecology. Eco, house. Logy, the study of. And truly, it's about the study of organisms and their interactions with their environment. And how does the environment have anything to do with survival? Okay, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. And let me go ahead and start that. All right, so this picture, it's a huge towers of apartment buildings, so a bunch of people living here. We in California don't see this, but in major cities, there are people all together. So what's happening to our planet? Is our planet at capacity? And it says patterns of population growth. So this particular chapter is focusing on populations, okay? So we're going to describe what a population is, life history, ecology, influence, evolution in a population, human population. What's happening to the human population? All right, so population ecology is the study of how populations interact with their environment. So you can have a population and how does it interact? So yeah, wherever we are, yeah. Here's lobsters off of Maine and they're fishing. We can think of the fishing industry. How are we fishing? What's happening to the fish populations? What's happening to the lobster populations? Are we overfishing? So this is a pretty important slide, so pay attention to it. It's looking at kind of the hierarchy. It says ecology is the study of the interactions between organisms and their environments. It can be studied in many levels. Okay, so two definitions for ecology. The study of our house, right, Earth. Also, the study of interactions between organisms and their environments. Okay, so the lobster, here's an organism. A bunch of lobsters is a population. Then if you take the lobsters and the other living things in the lobsters area, that's a community. Then if you talk about all the living things and the non-living things, so like the type of water, is it fresh water, is it salt water? That's an ecosystem. So from the individual to the population to the community to the whole ecosystem, okay? Again, important slide. Next chapter, we're going to talk about ecosystems. Okay. So, a population perspective. So here are these emperor penguins, and here's their population, a bunch of the same type of guys. Okay. So what happens with populations? It says populations can grow quickly for a while, but not forever. So we can look at the human population and what's happening. I'll have a video for you guys to look at. It's really wild when we look at the human population. There's a type of growth curve that's called exponential growth curve, okay? So new populations generally go through exponential growth. Now, you may have been seeing this recently in the news, okay? What is exponential growth? Okay, so I'm gonna go out of my PowerPoint and I'm gonna go ahead and go to my whiteboard, okay? So I'm gonna make a graph, okay? You gotta bear with me here. Yeah. Okay, here's my graph. On one axis, oh, this looks horrible. I don't have a little, what's the word? Okay. On one axis is going to be number of individuals, okay? On the other axis, it's going to be time, okay? So let's say, oh my, this is just horrible writing, okay? Okay, bear with me. So to give you an idea of exponential growth, imagine we have a Petri dish, okay? I'm going to draw it over here. Oh, okay. You know what? I'm going to get rid of that Petri dish. I'm going to do another one. Okay. Imagine we have this thing called a Petri dish, okay? We're not in the lab right now, so we can't do it. If we were in the lab, we would have done the microbiology lab and you would know what I'm talking about. Okay. A Petri dish is made out of plastic. Inside the dish is this stuff. It looks like Jello, okay? It's called agar. Well, what we do with the Petri dish is we grow bacteria. So imagine we put one bacterium on the Petri dish, okay? Now, what are the bacteria going to do? They're going to grow. So imagine that in, let's say, 30 seconds, okay, or an hour. It doesn't matter. You know what? Let me do an hour. Imagine in an hour, the bacteria are going to replicate and we're going to have 2 bacteria. So in an hour, we'll have 2. Now, in the next hour, okay, so let me write that down on the graph. Okay, so here's time, and this could be 0, okay? Here's an hour, here's 2 hours, here's 3 hours, here's 4 hours. Sorry, this is so ridiculous, okay? And this could be 1 bacterium and so on. So times 0 is 0. And then we have, well, actually times 0, we're going to put 1 bacterium in the Petri dish. Okay, 1 bacterium, okay? And imagine in an hour, the bacteria replicate. So in an hour, how many bacteria are we going to have? 2. Okay, so there's my 2. So in an hour, in 1 hour, we're going to have 2 bacteria. Okay, there's my little data point. Okay. An hour later, how many bacteria are we going to have? Both of them are going to replicate. So an hour later, we're going to have 4 bacteria. So in 2 hours, we don't have 3 bacteria, we have 4 bacteria. So let me go ahead and try to do the number 4. So in 2 hours, we have, okay, if I go 2 hours and then 4 bacteria, here's my data point, okay? What's going to happen in 3 hours? Remember, every hour the bacteria multiply. So each one of these bacteria in this Petri dish are going to multiply. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So in 3 hours, the bacteria are going to go to 8. Okay? So if 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to go all the way up here. Okay? So 3 hours, we're going to go to 8 bacteria, right? Bam. Okay? Now, what's going to happen in 4 hours? The 8 are going to go to 16. I'm going to go way up here. Okay? If I drew a line, try my best to draw a line through this. Okay? The curve would go bam, like that, okay? Just shoot through the roof, okay? That is called exponential growth, okay? Where the curve goes bam, all right? Now, you have been listening about exponential growth in the media, okay? They've been talking about exponential growth with COVID-19, okay? When we had one person, then we have two people, then we have four people. And actually, COVID-19 is so horrible because one person, it's so contagious. One person sitting in a restaurant can pass it to 100 people. Right? I don't know if you guys heard about that. If they're coughing or if they're just talking and the air, right? The little droplets go in the air. If they go into the air duct and go into the ventilation and the AC, it's spreading around. And so you can imagine the exponential growth of people being infected with COVID-19. Okay. And that, when they're talking about the growth curve, if you're listening to the news at all, right? When they're talking about the growth curve, that's what they're talking about. Okay. So now, in natural populations, this type of growth can happen. It's called exponential growth. Okay. So if we look at our bacteria in our Petri dish, 8, 16, 32, bam, through the roof. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Is this going to happen forever? You know, is it unlimited growth where it's going to go forever? Yes or no? No, right? No. Why not? What's going to happen? The bacteria can run out of room. The bacteria can run out of food. There are things that in the environment, they're going to limit the bacterial growth. So exponential growth curves in populations, we can see exponential growth curves, but generally we'll see them kind of level off. They kind of do this, okay? And this blue line is called the carrying capacity. I'm just going to put CC because there's no way I'm going to be able to write carrying capacity in this limited view. Okay, so carrying capacity. So the red line is exponential. So I'll do the exponential growth curve. Growth. Okay. But in reality, things, and we see this in nature, we see exponential growth. But in reality, then it's going to level off. Again, the bacteria might run out of space. The bacteria might run out of room. The bacteria might release toxins. The bacteria might run out of food. So there are things in the environment that are going to eventually slow the growth down. All right, so let me go. So this is exponential growth. This is the carrying capacity. And if the graph, or when, because in nature we do see in nature we do see exponential growth, but then we generally see the graph leveling off, and we call this I can't think now, what do we call this? What type of growth is this? I can't think. I just had a brain fart. It'll come back to me in just a second. Okay. So we will see that the exponential growth cannot go on forever. And then we see, oh, there it is. It came logistic growth curve, right? And so new populations might have exponential growth curve, but eventually old sustainable populations have logistic growth curve. All right, so I'm going to go back to my presentation. All right, so exponential growth. And again, in the news, they've been talking about exponential growth a lot. And so that's kind of really interesting. Okay, so imagine these elk, okay, and they're growing. It says exponential growth. Let me move myself over here. Okay. It says exponential growth occurs when each individual produces more than a single offspring necessary to replace itself according to real. Okay. For example, 500 elk. So here's population size, the number of individuals. Here's years, so there's time. And let's say it says, according to realistic estimates of birth and death rates, we have to look at birth and death, a population of just 5